Hello and welcome to a special on the veteran film director, producer, Mr. B.R. Chopra, one of the most highly respected filmmakers from India. Mr. Chopra has made umpteen box office films, and most of his films cater to social reform. He advocated the cause of widow remarriage in Ek Hi Rasta, conflict between man and machine in Naya Daur, problems of illegitimate children castigated by society in Dhul Kapoor, Hindu-Muslim unity in Dharamputra, and abolition of capital punishment in Qanun. This film and many more show just how committed Mr. Chopra is to life and mankind. We now join Chandrasekar and our two honored guests, Mr. B.R. Chopra and his very talented son, Ravi Chopra.
It's an honor and a privilege to have, Mr. B.R. Chopra and your son, especially Ravi, together for the first time. From what I understand in the history of India and television, you both have never appeared on a television show together. We are very honored to have you with us.
That's true. But we are happy to be here with you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Chopra, you are considered one of the fathers of the Indian film industry. You are considered one of the pillars of the Indian film industry. Your contribution to the film industry will be in the history books of India for many, many years to come. First of all, let me start off with MAHABHARAT. You've made an outstanding contribution to the Indian community all around the world by introducing MAHABHARAT on television, by making a mammoth serial, an outstanding accomplishment for 94 episodes. Tell us about MAHABHARAT.
Well, in MAHABHARAT, it was a surprise. It was a miracle for us as far as we are concerned. I always say that MAHABHARAT was the creation of God. It just was blessed by him. Because it's not possible to see the roads of Bombay and roads of the whole of India deserted on that day, no traffic on it. We could never believe that the trains could stop during that period, that the flights wouldn't take off. Political meetings would not take place. That is what we couldn't expect anything. And I only give this credit to somebody up there.
This is wonderful. Ravi, tell us about the planning for MAHABHARAT. When did you first decide that you wanted a serial of such magnitude?
We started MAHABHARAT, actual planning with MAHABHARAT sometime in '86. And that's the time when we brought our team together and we started doing the research work on it. You see, being such a vast book, the most important thing which we thought we should try to get out from this is that this is basically the Indian way of life. It is our culture. And earlier on, when we were younger, your grandmother or somebody in the house told you the story, and it went from person to person. But later on, it started. People got too busy, so nobody could tell you the story. So it was one way of getting the story back to the people.
From what I understand, the craze that it created, no other television serial in the history of India has ever surpassed that, either before or after. Until today, from what I understand, it holds the record in terms of viewership in India.
Not only in India, it holds a record anywhere. I believe the record before this was the last episode of MASH, which was seen by about 120 million people. Our average viewership was about 330 million people.
Wow, 330 million people.
And about 97%.
My God, incredible. Dr. Rahim Azum Raza was the writer for this. Okay, tell me the planning stages. Now, what was the cast? How many people were involved in that in terms of taping? And I also understand it's the most expensive production ever made in the history of India.
That is true. That is true. You see, we had, you talking about characters, we had about little over 400-500 characters in the serial. We'd done about 1,500 screen tests before we finalized our main characters. And it was a tremendous experience, and I for one can say that everybody who's been associated with it will never forget it.
You created a sensation, Mr. Chopra, when you first came up with some socially conscious movies, and then I do distinctly remember your Silver Jubilee celebration in India was the talk of the town for many years at that time. Now we're going to be showing you a little glimpse of that a little later, but tell me about your earlier ventures, your first venture.
My first picture was Afsana.
Oh, Afsana.
Maybe you have not heard of it.
No, with Ashok Kumar, I think.
With Ashok Kumar, who played a double role. That is my first picture. And that picture actually made me a director because that was my first picture, and I had never directed, I never been an assistant to anybody. I had never had any technical training, and it was just a leap in the dark, but somehow or other, as I always say, God helped me. And I was able to make that picture, and that picture was a big, big hit.
मीरा, ये है लीला देवी।
और आप?
आप हैं मीरा देवी, हमारे पड़ोस में रहती।
Prior to Afsana, what were you doing? I mean, what was your career like? Prior to your entering the film industry.
Prior to Afsana, I was a film journalist.
I see.
During my college days, I used to write
I see.
articles.
I see.
And then after my college career, I started writing for a paper which called Cine Herald.
I see.
It went on till 1947 August,
I see.
which at that time, of course, the partition came, and we had to come to this side of India. At that time, I was not able to pause. It was not possible to start a paper right away. We wanted to do something, some business. And some friends of mine decided to put in some money. And we made a picture with somebody else as a director. And that picture bombed at the box office in a big way. And we were practically on the road.
Well, I'm delighted you never gave up, because the truth is, you had a great start. From there on, you went on to make Silver Jubilee and Golden Jubilee films. Now here is a glimpse of BR Films' outstanding Silver Jubilee celebrations.
इस जलसे से 25 साल पहले, यानी सन 55 में, कुछ सुलझे हुए पढ़े लिखे पुरजोश और बुलंद हौसला लोगों ने एक साथ मिलकर बीआर फिल्म्स की नींव डाली। इस टीम के कप्तान थे श्री बीआर चोपड़ा।
Mr. Chopra, this must have brought you nostalgic memories and pleasant memories, the Silver Jubilee celebrations, from some of your, pleasant moments in your life.
I was almost touched. Because, when this function took place, the cassette was prepared. But since the function we had seen the function, so we didn't see the cassette. But today, it's really very nostalgic.
Yeah, I think, you had the entire glitter and glamour of the whole Bombay film industry that day, I'm sure, at your function.
Practically everybody, could be anybody in the industry was there.
Because you featured them all, because in all your different films, one way or the other.
You're right.
Ravi, what about you? Tell me, had you had a chance to see, some of your father's earlier works when you were young?
Oh, sure. I'm a great movie buff, and always liked his films. And I think that's what really made me get into films.
I see. How old were you when you first really started getting involved in the films with your father?
Oh, just after I finished college, I did my MA. After my MA, I started working with him.
I see. Was your father, a tough teacher, or was he easy to work with?
Very easy to work with.
Very easy to work with.
Yeah, I worked with my uncle first. I started off with my uncle. I did a film with him, and then I did.
Which film was that?
That was Admi Aur Insan.
Oh yes.
Then worked with Dad in his films. So I was working with two of the finest directors in the country. So what more could anybody ask for?
This is great. Now I'd like you to watch one of your great hits, Ek Hi Rasta, with us. Here is a delightful sample of Mr. B.R. Chopra's great work from the past, Ek Hi Rasta. Mr. Chopra, tell us about the socially conscious themes. You started producing these movies right from your early days as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
You see, I was, being a journalist, I always thought that if the picture could have some kind of a social content, it would give the picture a third dimension. And when I made the first picture with Ek Hi Rasta and the widow remarriage, in India was almost a taboo in those days. Nowadays, of course, it's not that much of a taboo, but in those days, it was looked upon. So when that picture clicked in a big way, I thought, well, here it is, that that big pictures with socially relevant themes should be able to find a good audience.
Indian film industry is based on three obsessions: the taboo obsession, the omnipotent obsession, and the security obsession. Most of the feature films are made on one of these three obsessions. The taboo obsession is where a rich man's daughter falls in love with a poor man's son. The omnipotent obsession is the hero who is, he cannot be defeated at all. He always wins. It's the James Bond character. But Mr. B.R. Chopra went beyond that, because he brought a lot of sense into the film industry in terms of its message. And one such message was from the film called Sadhna, which dealt with prostitution. You were daring in those days to bring in life of a prostitute in that film Sadhna. Tell me about it. How did the community react to that at that time?
At that time, at that time, when we decided to make a picture on a prostitute, my distributors and my friends all told me, you are going to flop this time, because pictures on prostitutes had never done well before. It had been made by New Theatres, it had been made by Prakash Pictures, it had been made by Vadia. So many other people had made the picture, but somehow that a subject on prostitutes never did well. But I told them only one thing. Well, I have got 2 pictures on my credit, Ek Hi Rasta and Naya Daur, and I can take the risk. Because I feel this problem is very important. This problem is the real problem today, particularly in Indian society, where the girls have to take to prostitution because of social conditions. I say, okay, unless they are accepted by people, by whom, then the problem of prostitution can never be solved. So that is what I actually try to show, that a prostitute has to be accepted in the house as a respectable citizen. Otherwise, this girl, you will continue to throw them in the gutter.
आज क्यों हमसे पर्दा है जी आज क्यों हमसे पर्दा है.
Mr. Chopra, you took the leadership in terms of addressing some important issues. Like in the Vedas and Puranas, for instance, there is always these sessions where people talk about Guru and Shishya, question and answer. You approached this in a very subtle way in one of your films where you dealt with illegitimacy of a child. Tell us about that.
You see, after sadhana, we thought that we could go into a problem which was also facing the society, the problem of the illegitimate children. Particularly in India, this was again because he's a thrown away. People don't like it. So we thought we might as well do a picture on this. And one day, Pandit Mukram Sharma, who was the writer of that, he comes along with the story, which we instantly liked it, and we started to make the picture. And we were lucky that we were able not only to make it well and to be able to get across our message, but also lucky it became very popular.
This is Dul Kapoor.
Dul Kapoor. And so popular that it was the first picture in those days which celebrated silver jubilees in 29 cinemas, in 29 cities.
Fantastic.
इंसान की औलाद है इंसान बनेगा.
Mr. Chopra, I think you've got an interesting story to tell us about this child. I understand this child has grown up to be somebody prominent now, I believe.
Yes, this child's name is Hani Irani, who is now become a story writer. And she has written the story of Lame.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's your brother's movie.
That's my brother's movie.
Yeah. Now tell me about this particular film. In those days, when you were making these films, getting the raw stock in black and white, was it difficult? Was it?
In those days, getting the raw stock was not difficult. But getting the raw stock now is very difficult.
I see. How do you plan on coping with that at the present time with the Indian film industry? You've formed some kind of a coalition group, I believe, where you're trying to obtain, with the new legislation now, is the trade going to be more freer trade now?
Well, now they say we are able to get our raw stock, by, without any problem, we can open an LC and take it, which is an OGL, Open General License.
I see.
But it's very costly.
I see.
You see, that's our biggest problem today, is that the raw stock in India, available in India, is very costly. Then it has, and it's very scarce.
I see.
Which means that we cannot take out as many prints as we want to. You see, a print costs 55,000 rupees.
We're going to be going into another area. You were again one of the first ones to delve into issues such as Hindu-Muslim unity. Now, I want to show you a little clip of one of your films that will bring you pleasant memories. Let's watch this film that did a lot for Hindu-Muslim unity, Dharmputra.
आग बुझती है कि शोलों को हवा मिलती.
And the film did get across the message, but it was, it continues today. The communal harmony continues to get disturbed even today.
One of your films, you dealt with the plight of women, for instance, and the special place that they have in the Indian society. Also, the fact that the sanctity of a home was important. And that was the film Gumrah. Tell us about it.
It was the story of a conflict in a woman's mind between love and her responsibility towards her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And we tried to show in that picture that although love is very strong, it's a sentiment which a woman cannot forget, and it kept on coming. But ultimately, the woman realized that the borders and the frontiers of home are very important.
Mr. Chopra, another part of your work is that in the film industry there's a lot of fantasy. Every man The average school student wants to become a hero, and they go and sit and watch these film stars, and they become imaginary idols for them. And you brought some of these characters in some of your past work, I believe, and one of them was Choti Si Baat,
Yes.
where Amol Palekar was featured for the
Yes,
first time.
that's right.
And he watches a movie, if I remember, where Dharmender and
Hema
Hema
Malini.
or doing a song together. Why don't we take a look at that song? That might bring you some pleasant memories as well. Then you can explain that as well to us, okay?
Yes.
Let's take a look at this. This is from Choti Si Baat.
जाने मन जाने मन जाने मन
You know, Mr. Chopra, you're very famous for also finding new talent, introducing big stars, and you made them, I mean, you introduced new stars who became big later. And tell me some of the stars that, you know, were featured for the first time in some of your films.
Well, there are people person like Sunil Dutt started off with me, Neki Rasta. And recently, Mr. Raj Babbar in Saaf Ka Tarazu.
Right.
And later on, he came in the picture Nikah, in which we had a newcomer, Salma Agha.
Right.
And
That was a big hit film as well.
and now in Kal Ki Awaaz, we are having again a new pair, a boy and a girl, both of them are new.
I see.
So we have tried as far as possible to try to find out some new talent every time we make a film.
I see. What is the industry standards at the present time, Ravi? What's really clicking at the present time?
As you know, music has come back in a big way. And of course, action is always, be it America, be it India, be it Japan, action always is perennial. And but I think by and large, a better class of films will start coming out from India now, because that important audience which was sitting at home has started coming back to the theaters.
Very interesting. Well, just for the benefit of viewers, this will bring you another pleasant memory as well. Pati Patni Aur Wo, where animation was featured in a very, very effective way with the story of Adam and Eve off the top.
ना आज था ना कल था कोई मुश्किल थी ना हल था.
God bless you, and I wish you all the best. I'm sure we are going to be expecting some wonderful results, more and more productions out of you.
Well, I thank you for one thing, that you are able to put over our product to your audience.
Well, it's a pleasure. I showed you some glimpses of some of the programs that we produce locally down here. What's your impression of programs of this nature, 14,000 miles away from our whole homeland that we are trying to do here?
My first reaction when I saw it was, in one word, fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. You made my day. I couldn't ask for anything better.
No, but they were really very nice, I must say. They were very nice. I mean, it was they were very beautifully put over and very excellently done.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Chopra, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. We'd love to have you back again very, very soon. Ravi, all the best.